Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter. I welcome you to yet another Cutter Top 10 video. And in keeping with the FIFA World Cup and everything with England, 3 lions on my shirt, jewels ain't still gleaming. Well, England still has a shit shot after all their shit show performance. So we're talking about the top 10 matches from, well, matches slash moments from match day 2, as in the second group stage games. We're not completely done the third group stage games yet, as groups GHI today and JKL tomorrow, England's group, um, finish their group stage games. So, of course, Sunday you'll see the top 10 moments from match day 3. And there will be a video on Canada Day talking about the top 10 moments from the first round. So what happens in the group stage with that top 10 is that the top 3 moments from each of the 3 matches and the fourth best one, and I picked the best fourth place one, qualify automatically. So anyway, let's start the countdown. Number 10 is Germany 2, Ivory Coast 1. Now, of course, we all know Germany finished their match against Ecuador yesterday, but this is match day 2, so we'll worry about that later. Anyway, so this game was held in Canada, in Toronto, last Saturday. And it was huge because Ivory Coast actually took a 1-0 lead on the Germans. But the Germans put up a pair of goals, including one at the death, like at stoppage time, to beat the Ivory Coast, finish it late, and prove themselves worthy. Yes, I know about Germany, Ecuador yesterday, but the fact is that this is day 2. So Germany's win over Ivory Coast was amazing and all that. Number 9, Belgium 0, Iran 0. This was one of the biggest shocks of the day. And the fact of the matter that Iran, of all teams who usually don't win, except for against Americans in 1998, tied Belgium. Belgium, notoriously in tournaments, seem to not have it. They have a good FIFA World Ranking, but in tournaments they basically underachieve or overachieve, or overrated. And this 0-0 tie with Iran makes them very overrated. And of course, 2022, they were in the group with Croatia, Canada, and Morocco, and Belgium couldn't make it through. Croatia won the group, Morocco took second. So it proves that Belgium practically seems to overdo it or underdo it in tournaments. Number 8 is Panama 0, Croatia 1. This game was held in Toronto on Tuesday. And you could tell that the stands were 90% Croatian because of the red checkerboards and, of course, that big 100-foot banner and all that. And everyone in Toronto bragging that there's going to be a lot of Croatians fans there and not Panama fans. Well, can you blame them? Toronto has one of the biggest Croatian populations in North America, especially with the fact that they used to have a NASL team, North American Soccer League team, called Toronto Metros Croatia. So practically, you knew that the checkerboards were going to flood the field. And even though they wanted Luka Modric, the 8th one, to score a goal, Croatia did beat Panama 1-0 and proved themselves worthy. And of course, it's Toronto. What do you expect? Number 7, England 0, Ghana 0. This result has pissed me off, and I'm not making any bones about it. England should have had Ghana for lunch. They had all the passes, they had the biggest possession percentage, but they couldn't score one freaking goal. Although they had 3 or 4 chances, Ghana basically shut down shop and all that. So England, even though they beat Croatia 4-2, which I was happy about, actually ended up tying Ghana, which ticked me right off. England, Ghana, and Croatia. It's now a dogfight in Group L. And, of course, tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time, England's got to face Panama, Ghana versus Croatia. England better beat Panama because then they win the group and don't have to go to the matchup against the runner-up in Group K, which could be Portugal if Colombia gets a point off of Portugal. And all that. Number 6 is Egypt 3, New Zealand 1. This matchup was big because this was what they call the Darwin match. Because coming into the match last Sunday in Vancouver. Well, it's a Canadian match for sure, but this was huge because Egypt and New Zealand had a combined 15 World Cup games and 0 wins. I kid you not. It wasn't that they didn't have points. I mean, New Zealand had ties, Egypt had ties. But New Zealand and Egypt never won a game in 15 matchups combined. They were what, 0-8-7 combined, 8 losses, 7 ties. So they needed to do something. Egypt qualified for the 1934 World Cup, and it was a straight knockout thing, and they lost the first one. And then in 1990, they went 3-0. In 2018, they went 3-0. And of course, the one game, the first matchday game, they didn't win. So that made 8 for them. New Zealand was 0-7, if you will. In 1982, they suffered 3 losses. But they put 2 goals past Scotland, which actually screwed Scotland in 1982 because Scotland would have to, because Scotland would have made it to the knockout stages and not Russians. In 2010, they were in the group with Italy, and they shocked themselves by tying all 3 games, including against Italy. And of course, the first match day, they lost. They didn't win. So this game happened, but Mo Salah and Egypt shocked New Zealand. Well, there were a lot of Pharaoh fans, if you will. Egypt beat New Zealand 3-1, and now New Zealand's got 8 games without a World Cup win. If New Zealand does not win their third group stage match coming up soon, then there will be 0-9, if you will. They have points, but it will tie Honduras for the most World Cup games for a nation without a win, not without a point, because New Zealand has had a few ties. And let's not forget that that record is held by El Salvador, who's 0-6. So just wanted to let you know. Number 5, Mexico 1, Korea 0. This was huge because this game ended on one of the craziest moments. So Mexico, it's Mexico. They hosting Korea and the big battle in Group A. Korea had a chance, but the goalie had the ball slip. He went down to ground with the ball, but it squirmed out of his hands, and Mexico, he spilled it, and Mexico put it in. Mexico beat Korea 1-0, and we all know what happened to South Korea a couple days ago against South Africa. But this doesn't count because this is about the second group stage games, not the third ones. And yes, that would obviously be in the top 10, but Mexico beat Korea, put Korea in second place for the time being. Everyone knows about where Korea is now. They're in third place, and we'll have to wait and see if they qualify. But this is about the second group stage games. Number 4, Ecuador 0, Carousel 0. Carousel made things happen. They scored against Germany to tie it at 1 and then gave up 6 straight goals. But Carousel played better defensive soccer against Ecuador. We all know about Ecuador's match against Germany and all that, and Carousel Ivory Coast. But of course, as I said, this is the second group stage, just to remind you. But Ecuador tied Carousel 0-0. Carousel got their first World Cup point. Of course, it pisses me off because as a Canadian fan, it took until the 7th World Cup game for Canada to finally score a point because we were 0-6 coming into the first game against Bosnia. But yeah, Carousel shocking the world, getting a point. They're not going to the knockout stages, but they took a point off Ecuador. That was great. Number 3 is good old Canada 6, Qatar 0. I know everyone says that Canada piled it on against Qatar, but they had to because one of the tie breaks is goal differential. And that was critical. We don't know about Canada's match against Switzerland and Croatia's match against... No, sorry, not Croatia. Bosnia's match against Qatar. But the fact of the matter is that Canada needed this win. This was big because Canada had gone through 7 matches without a World Cup win. They were 0-6-1. Because in 1986, Canada went 3-0 to Hungary, France, and the Soviets, scoring 0 goals, giving up 5. Canada gave up a few goals to Belgium, Croatia, and Morocco, but they at least scored twice. And then, of course, the 1-1 tie with Bosnia-Herzegovina. But Canada needed to beat Qatar by any means necessary, and they did. Canada scored 6 goals to beat Qatar 6-0, finally giving Canada its first World Cup win. I knew they had to beat Qatar to get anywhere near the knockout stages. So Canada did their job 6-0. Unfortunately, though, it came at a cost. As Ishmael Kone, who had a great Copa America 2024 for Canada, suffered one of the brutalest World Cup injuries as he had a leg snap. It felt like a snap, but it wasn't a complete snap. Like Kone had some ligaments in his leg and for, but it wasn't a complete snap, which was great. The good news is the Qatarian player who did that tackle, even though he got a red card and got himself a 3-game suspension, actually did visit Kone at the treatment center in Seattle to apologize. And, at least he did the right thing. And, Qatar may have done crap in the World Cup, but at least they tied Switzerland. They got a point. Anyway, number 2 is the double whammy of Leo Messi's goal scoring and Kylian Mbappe's goal scoring. So, it's almost like every time, Argentina and France with their group day things, you have Leo Messi and Kylian Mbappe. As we speak, France are playing Norway in the third group stage, which is the only matchup to have two teams at 2-0. France beat their 2 opponents, Norway beat their 2 opponents, and first place is on the line. And of course, Leo Messi, the GOAT, calling himself the GOAT. He scored twice against Austria to break Miro Klose's World Cup record for goals in a career. He's now got 18, Messi does. It's Leo Messi. What do you expect? He scored a brace, 2 goals. And Mbappe put up a pair for France in their win. So it's crazy. You have Mbappe and Leo Messi in the same match day putting up goals. And let's not forget Erling Haaland for Norway. So, yeah, Leo Messi, congratulations, you're number 1 in the goal scoring thing. But that's not the number 1 moment. Number 1 is Uruguay 2, Cape Verde 2. Cabo Verde, or Cape Verde as I call it. They had that tie with Spain 0-0, and that goalie had his Instagram account jump from 500,000 to about 10 million people. I wonder how many people jumped onto his Instagram after the match with Uruguay. Cape Verde actually had a 2-1 lead on Uruguay. It was shocking that Cabo Verde actually had the lead on Uruguay, the 2-time champs in 1930 and 1950. But still, Uruguay is Uruguay. They're freaking amazing. And all of a freaking sudden, Cabo Verde actually pulled off another tie. Tying Spain is one thing because Spain's the pre-tournament favorite, as EA Sports put it. But the fact of the matter is that they tied Uruguay 2-2. And they put themselves in third place. They have a position they could, although it's almost unlikely because we've had some teams take third place with 4 points, which is basically the be-all, end-all. But what can Cape Verde do? I mean, Cabo Verde still has 1 more game left, and I can't remember who they play. I'll have to look up at my book. This is great because it has the stuff that you can write that down. Yeah, Cabo Verde plays Saudi Arabia tonight. I mean, you got Norway, France, Senegal, Iraq, Uruguay, Spain. That's a big one. Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand, Belgium. So, yeah, 3-8-11. Oh, okay. Well, so I won't be able to watch New Zealand versus Belgium, if you will. And Egypt, Iran. Oh, that'd be a big one, Egypt, Iran. But yeah, can Cabo Verde pull off something against Saudi Arabia? Even a win, that would be amazing. But we'll see about that when the time comes. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond to do.